interestingly enough, 60% of you would go with Wharton and 40% of you would go with Baleba. I'd go Wharton. I think that I don't think there's much in age, is there? Wharton is 21. He'll be 22 in February, and Baleba is 21. He'll be 22 in January. So they're basically the same age. Brighton, Crystal Palace. You say tomato, I say tomato. So I don't see any different in profile, age, or club. What I do see a difference is mentality. I think Wharton reminds me of a Declan Rice type midfielder in the sense that he has a ridiculous consistency. He's really, 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 consistent and focused. He looks to me like he's got the right mentality. I think Wharton's going to end up at Liverpool or Arsenal or Man City and do really, really well. So I would go for Wharton. I just think at this moment in time, he's more impressive in his consistency. I also think he's more of a sitter. In a 2, I think he's more of a sitter. I know why Amrin wants Baleba, because he wants his sitters to press forward and be energetic going forward, and Baleba is better at that. He's also better at carrying the ball. I don't mean in a rugby sense. I mean like he can get the ball and run with it. They're different profiles. But I am genuinely like, I think Baleba is a better footballer than Wharton, if you like, more attacking. But I think Wharton's more disciplined, and I think mentality's big, and based on the last 6 months, I think Wharton's mentality shines out more than Baleba's. I don't agree that Baleba needs to be playing as badly as he does for Brighton because he didn't get a transfer in the summer. I think it's concerning to me. Light switch players. I don't think Man United need players that can switch it on and off based on what's going on off field. And we've just spent a few minutes and last night talking about, you know, United players being impacted by what goes off the pitch and how they shouldn't be at Man United. Is this not a potential hazard that this is a player that gets impacted by stuff that's not happening on the pitch? And that worries me. You know, I remember Roy Keane years ago was basically leaving Man United. Maybe I'd say it was 2000. Maybe it was after the treble. His contract was running down. He was going to go to Juventus. We all knew it. And then he ended up signing a new contract around Christmas time to stay at Man United. It used to happen a bit with Giggs and Scholes with Inter Milan. Like, Italian clubs were really after our players because in the late 90s, early 90s, the Italian league was the best league in the world. But with Keane, his contract was running down and it nearly happened. And he still kept playing really well. He still kept playing really, really well. So I think that it worries me that players... It worries me when performances dip because of off-the-field things, and we've got enough of those players at Man United. Should we look at 2 centre midfield loans in January, says Keel Robinson? Look, I'll give you one name. One name we were linked to in the summer that I genuinely think we should go. And people aren't going to listen to me because we've got the Bundesliga deal. But having that Bundesliga deal, I know a lot more about Bundesliga players than I did before we got it. I'm watching it loads. I do the highlights show. We do a game every Friday. You know, I'm watching more games. There's a lot of good players there. Stiller is like a very good player. I've watched about 3 90-minute games of him now. They had a bit of a slow start to the season. I think they had to adjust to not having Voltemeda. They won again at the weekend, difficult game away. They're a good side, and Stiller is a good player. And again, a little bit like Wharton, I think he's got the right mentality, and also very tenacious in the tackle, very disciplined in his positional sense, but he can take a free kick, he can take a penalty, he can score a goal. And in an Amorim system where you've got license to push forward in the midfield too, I think he'd be very good. I don't know whether we're going to go in there, but somebody will. I can see him at Madrid. I can see him at Real Madrid easily. I could see him at Barcelona. I could see him at PSG. If those links were true in the summer, and I don't know whether they were, we should be looking at him. I think he'd be very good.